didn't do enough of this yesterday on the show. I want to just go to you first, Double A. How impressed were you yesterday with Man United's performance? That's 2 weekends running away at a big team, a title-challenging team, a huge rival, where we've managed to get a very positive result and in the end win the game.
Yeah, you have to be massively impressed because, going against 12 men is always hard regardless, you know what I mean? So having a ref against you is he wanted United to lose that game more than Arsenal did, I think. But in all seriousness, it's good to see. And I was saying this yesterday on Saeed, that the game against Southampton is actually our biggest test of the last 2 games, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Southampton, because Southampton's where we trip up now. Southampton's where we lose. We have 2 impressive performances against Liverpool, which is, for me, our hardest away game of the season. We're absolutely terrible there and have been for a while. And we performed well. Possibly could have won that game. Yesterday, I thought before the sending off, we were getting into the game. Obviously, we scored. Could have gone on and won that game as well. But we ended up getting through on pens, which is, again, as a spectacle, fantastic FA Cup round, fantastic FA Cup draw and tie. And that's what we want. We want to see those magical moments of the Cup. You talk about the Tamworth Spurs game, but you want to see that at the top end as well. You don't want to see these drab 1-0 wins. You want a bit of excitement, something for people to get excited about. And, Man United came out on top, which is good for us. Not so much for Arsenal. But now the big test it really is against Southampton, because it's all well and good going to the Etihad winning. It's all well and good, drawing against Liverpool and beating Arsenal. But when it matters against the small teams, where we've crumbled this season, is against the smaller side. So I need to see it again. I was even going as far as to say, I want to see 5-0 on Thursday. I want to see us actually slap a team at home, an actual proper performance. I don't think we've played well at home all season. The only possible one you could say was maybe Everton, but even then, Everton had chances in the game, and I don't think Amarin was too impressed with that. I think the goals masked what was not a great performance. So I need to see us come out from the traps straight away and dominate a team for 90 minutes and absolutely, put them to the sword and put a few goals past them. That's what I'm hoping for. But from yesterday, mate, I think it come to it yesterday that I was resigned to losing. I thought the referee was just desperate to, and I won't bang on about him, but it got to extra time and I thought, if we lose 2-1 now, I think I'd have that, because I just felt it was just feeling like it was, we were on us. Something was going to relent. And, when we do go a man down, that's when the heads drop. But everyone, for a man, was absolutely and worked. Again, another team performance where they could all be proud of themselves walking away from the Emirates.
No, do you know what? Before we go to the panel, I will say this, that for years I've been screaming for and begging for a team that works hard. And it's been a long-standing debate on the football terrace, hard work or talent. And don't get me wrong, talent is massively needed in this squad. More quality is needed. But I've always fervently believed that if you don't have a team and a squad that works hard, that runs through brick walls, that gives you blood, sweat and tears, doesn't matter the quality of player that you bring in. I think it's almost irrelevant. It will flop and it will fail. And we've seen the vat of money wasted on talented players because the culture at the club wasn't right. And there was a few moments yesterday, we went up for a free kick. It's been trending all day today. The lung-busting runs to get back into shape, brilliant. And the reason I praise that more than anything else yesterday is people have to go back and look at my content when it comes to praising Pep's brilliant Centurions, Pep's brilliant treble-winning team, Klopp's amazing Liverpool sides. And I know that Tom Little knows what I'm about to say. All the tippy-tapper and the Gergen pressing and the goal scoring, brilliant. For me, what was most impressive was how hard they worked out of possession, how quickly they would get back into shape when they lost the ball. That's why they were so hard to beat, because they didn't allow their opponents much space, and we were doing that well. Maguire yesterday, De Ligt, some of their blocks, what they did for most of those crosses was out of this world. Bayendere, whom I thought had a poor game up until the penalty. He flaps it across that led to a goal. He saved that penalty. I keep telling everyone, mentality is such an underrated component of sport. He saved the penalty and he became peak David De Gea. The rest of the game, barring his kicking, because with that isn't very good. The rest of the game, I didn't feel any more nerves around him. And you could see it. He had his chest out, his head was up, as opposed to looking like a shrinking violet. And the work rate we put in was so key. And I loved what Amorim said last week after the Liverpool game, that he was annoyed and pissed off that they didn't work that hard in the other matches. He also said that a lot of these players would walk into the dressing room after a defeat and they had a bit of sweat on them, but they weren't tired. And for me, I think any athlete worth his salt, when they finish their day of competing, should be in a position where they can barely move. They should wake up the next morning. It's probably a little different now with ice baths and the technology, but they shouldn't be able to move. I remember reading a book that Gary Lineker wrote about himself as a player. He couldn't walk a day or two after a game. Now they didn't have they didn't have the sports science and the recovery training they do now, but he would run himself into the ground every match where the lactic acid ruined him the next day. Have Man United players done that for the last 11 years? Absolutely not. So for me, we're starting to see real good, positive green shoots. We're growing, but you've spot on, feet firmly on that ground. Do not get carried away, Man United fans. Enjoy yesterday, celebrate, have a beer, have a bit of food, make a baby or two, whatever it is that you did last night, enjoy it. And no one should tell you not to celebrate. But we have to remember it's a long and winding road. There's going to be other peaks. There's going to be other troughs that we're going to fall into. But I think something's become clear to Man United fans now, that when Amorim says we've got to suffer, he doesn't just mean we're going to have some bad results to become a good team. What he's actually talking about more than losing is the players. The players have got to go through physical pain in matches if they want to win. They've got to run their backsides off. They have got to press at the right time, stay in shape, keep concentrating. And I would say 2 weeks with training, the first 2 weeks of training the manager's had in the time he's been here, I actually would say performance-wise, not results, it's probably the two best back-to-back performances I've seen from Man United in probably 11 years. Back-to-back performances, back-to-back staying in shape. I can't think, again, I'm talking about who we played away from home. Maybe actually what would top it is that 3-week window where we beat Liverpool away, beat City at home, and we beat Spurs under LVG, where Rooney did the punching celebration. That was, I think those games came in about 2-3 weeks of each other. You could probably argue that was better because the results were more in our favour, as an example. But that was only a couple of years after being champions of England. So I was just so impressed. I want loads better. I want better players brought in. I'm not saying the squad's perfect. Everything remains what I've said before. But I'm just really proud to see the boys work hard, and they're clearly listening to Amorim. And I think that for me is a real positive from this game. And I don't think there was enough attention on Man United yesterday. And I understand why Arsenal losing and going out. But yeah, some real positives there. What the